And please note that you can't apply, you can't go on now, you won't be allowed access, and you can't go after the 29th of August as well. So the period will only be, the system will only be accessible during that period of the 24th of July, 8 a.m. until the 29th of July, 29th of August rather. So parents, guardians, be ready for that period, that window period. And please know that there will be no applications after the 29th of August. There will be no new applications. So you have to apply during this period. And the system is going live for only 2 grades, grade 1 and grade 8, not any other grades. All the other grades, you have to go to your nearest schools and apply there, meaning grade 2 to 7, 9 to 11 or 12, 11 rather, you have to go to the schools that you are preferring for your children. So this process is only for grade 1 and 8, only. For learners who are currently in grade R, parents with children who are in grade R in schools, you have to apply for grade 1 at the very same school or any other school of your choice. So it does not mean if your child is in grade R, will be automatically placed. There is no automatic placement. You have to apply, you have to comply, you have to do everything that every parent will be doing to get their children admitted in our public schools for grade 1 and 8. So if your child is in grade R, you have to apply. You're going to have to apply for the child to be admitted in schools. So diarize these dates, and please note that. The admission process, you will have access to it through our GDE admission. It's called gdeadmissions.gov.za. It's the website. You can access it through any tool that has access to the internet, any tool, any gadget that you have. You will have to create credentials. So meaning that even if you had applied for a child last year, you still need to do a new credentials for this year. So meaning all the credentials you've ever had for your previous children don't exist now. So you have to create a new profile. So you have to go to our GD admissions website, comply with all the prompts that come up, read the terms of condition, accept, and then begin the 5-step application process. Upon setting up a profile, the 5-step application process is very simple. As I've said, step 1, you register your details as a parent or guardian. You register your home address, you register the learner details, and you apply to a maximum of 5, and you urge parents to say a minimum of 3. If you have to do few, we urge parents to do that, as opposed to 1 or 2. And you upload all the documents that are required on the system. And you have to do this process within 7 days after setting up profile and beginning the 5-step application process. It's important that you put the correct details. Correct and accurate details, it's important. So all your information must align. There should not be misalignment of information. Make sure that as you apply, you apply using the correct details. So documents must be uploaded or submitted. There are 2 ways to submit your documents. Either you upload them on the system or you submit them to the schools. And you have to do this process within 7 days. If not, your application will be considered incomplete. You have to have this is one of the most important parts as well, the cell phone number. Give us a reliable number. Give us a number that you know This number is the most reliable of all of them. Make sure it's correct, because this number will be your guide as and when you are applying. It will inform you every time you take a step forward. As you register, it will inform you. As you submit documents, it will inform you. If your applications are not complete, or there's a missing document, or there's a step that you have missed, or any other information, you will be getting SMSs throughout. So give us a reliable number. Make sure you don't change it, and try not to lose it. If you lose it, swim swap. But make sure you get the number back. Or if under any unforeseen cases, let us know if there are any changes. But we are urging you and we are appealing to you that make sure you keep the number, make sure you have a reliable and correct cell phone number. This is a number that will ensure that you are updated at all times. The documents must be submitted or uploaded within 7 days, as I've said earlier. And these are your ID of the parent or guardian, or passport, rather, the child's birth certificate or passport. And if you're a foreign national, we need your refugee permit, we need your asylum seeker permit, or permanent resident permit, or study permit, or parent work permit. We need your compliance document, meaning that you need to be legally in the country and you need to give us these documents. Proof of home address, or proof of work address, latest grade 7 report if your child is going to grade 8, and if your child is in grade R, going to grade 1, we'll need your clinic card or immunization report for grade 1 learner. So these are the documents that we'll need. And when you upload these documents, firstly, make sure that they're all certified. They need to be certified, all of them. And when you upload them individually, one by one. You scan your ID, you submit it. You scan the birth certificate, you submit it. You scan the home address, proof of home address, etc. So you have to ensure that each one is submitted individually when you are uploading the documents. So if you're uploading, you do it once. But if you're going to be submitting to a school, you're going to have to submit to all the schools that you have chosen. So meaning that if you have chosen 5 schools, you'll have to submit 5 times, same documents in all the schools. And all those schools will give you a slip that is stamped as proof that you've submitted your documents, and obviously you should be getting an SMS. If you're not getting an SMS, after a period of time, within 24 hours, go back to the school and check how far is the process, why are you not getting an SMS. So all this should be done within 7 days. So if you've submitted online, if you submitted online, you don't have to submit physically. So your documents will be there. But if you submit physically, you don't need to submit online as well. We will have your documents either way. But physical submission, like I've said, if you chose 5 schools and you're doing physical, you're going to have to submit 5 times. You have to submit individually to each and every school that you would have chosen. So the document that you are submitting, the information needs to match. That's why I said you need to submit correct information. It needs to be consistent across. Because schools do verify documents. So we've had a challenge of fraudulent documents at some point being submitted. So give us and submit correct, certified documents at all times, at all times, so that you avoid a situation where your application is considered incomplete. And if your application is incomplete, parents and guardians, we will not place your child, will not be considered for placement under the period. So it's important that you submit all your documents on time. The proof of home address is the most important document, because we work through the feeder zone system. And as you go to the system, when you apply and choose schools, the feeder, it shows you within your home address which are the schools, the feeder zone within the proximity of your address. So the home address is very, very important. It's a very important document and the proof of it. So make sure that all the time the documents that you are submitting for the home address match, are the correct ones. So for the home address, we will need certified copies of your municipal account. And on that municipal account, we want the name. If you are the parent, as a parent, your name should be on that municipal account as the applying parent, as an applicant. So it needs to bear full names of the residential address. Otherwise, your application will be rejected or disqualified if you don't provide us with the document. But if you are a tenant or you are renting, we'll require quite a number of set of documents. We'll want the municipal account of not older than 3 months of the landlord of where you stay. We'll want your lease agreement signed both by the landlord and yourself as a tenant, bearing the full physical address and details of the lessee, the rental payment slip with full physical address and details of the lessee that are not older than 3 months, statement of any account in the name of the applicant bearing the full residential address. We want all these documents if you are a tenant and renting in that particular area. So all these copies that I'm mentioning, these documents that I'm mentioning, they need to be certified. They will need to be certified. If you live with your family in a family home, we will need the same. We will need the municipal statement bearing the name if it's your parent. So you will need to submit the ID or copy of your parent and a statement that is not older than 3 months in the name of the applicant. So that as well, we still need those particular details. If you are renting, we know there's these backroom dwellers. Those don't have the lease. We want the lease agreement. So there needs to be some form of an agreement in place between you as a tenant and the landlord. Whether it's a letter that's confirming yourself as the tenant and the landlord and yourself agreement that's been approved by council, but there needs to be some form of agreement that is brought forward. So you will have to submit something, a document that verifies the address where you stay. So the home address is the most important aspect, as I've said. We will not be taking offer to purchase or affidavits. Those documents will not be accepted. So you have to give us the proof of home address. Schools have been given the right to go and verify. So don't say when the school is verifying the home address and you say the schools have come, they're doing wrong. No. Because of the rise of people using addresses of where they don't stay, as the GDE, we do support a process where schools go and verify if the child stays in that particular home address. So schools do verify, and they do have our support with regard to verifying the home address. So schools have been known to do so that we curb this unfair entry into the system, but also into schools, which ultimately what this does, it defeats the equitability that we want to implement with this system, where people have their children study or go to school where they live. So we have to curb it. Schools have been known to go and verify. So as the GDE, we do support that particular process of them verifying. So 7 days is what you are given upon registering and ensuring that you complete the application process. So the system will assist you with the feeder zone, the schools, because as you punch in your address, it will tell you which are the schools that are demarcated in your residential area for you. So that part is done for you. But I also want to urge parents that you can also start doing some verification now yourself as you prepare for this particular process. I've touched that we urge parents to select a minimum of 3 schools and a maximum of 5. There are parents who choose to select 1 school or 2 schools. And that is quite risky, because it might get to a point where the school that you've chosen, the 1 school that you say you want as a parent, reaches capacity before we even get to place your child, and you've chosen 1 school. You make it very difficult for us as we move forward as to what are other options that we can have. So we always urge parents that choose 5 schools, minimum 3, but we urge 5, so that it gives us more options when we are placing your child. And parents need to also understand that when you choose those 5 schools or 3 schools, it doesn't matter if you've chosen, we are in JP Girls today, this morning, you've chosen JP Girls first, and then you choose other schools afterwards. Then for us, you assume that the system, to us in the system, JP Girls is number 1. You must assume that because you say JP Girls first, therefore JP Girls is number 1. No, it doesn't work like that. The 5 schools that you have selected, to us it means you'll be happy as a parent that if your child goes to any of these schools. That's what it says to us. So for us, a successive placement will mean putting your child in any of the 5 schools you've selected. Not the first one or second, you say the first, if not this one, then this one, if not this one, no. Any of the 5 for us is a priority. So make sure that you select schools that you want your child to be at, and choosing 5, it always improves the chances of your child being placed in the school that you prefer as a parent. The system will pick up if you are making 2 applications for 1 learner. So mommy and daddy both applying for 1 learner, the system will pick it up. It will only register 1 parent. So don't do 2 applications for 1 child. Only 1 application will be considered. If you do the second one, it will not be considered, because the system will pick it up and you will then ignore it. During the window period, all schools will always remain open. There's no school that will close. even if we check on the system and we find that that school has about 2,000 applications on the system, it will always remain open throughout the window period. So all schools will always be accessible and open during the application period. So placement is always done through the placement criteria and availability of spaces. So for grade 1, as you apply, the parents are going to be asked for their preferred language of learning and teaching from either of the 11 official languages. And what this does, it guides us. It guides us through the system of which schools provide that particular language of learning and teaching that the parent has opted for. So it can be either of the 11 official languages. For grade 8, we utilize the grade 7 report for language of learning and teaching, the home language. And we're going to, from using that particular report, we'll then look at a set of schools that do provide that home language. So that's how we place for grade 8 for home language. So parents can only choose for grade 1, but for grade 8, we utilize the grade 7 report, the home language on the report. The placement criteria is also at 5. As I've said, the home address is the most important one, so it takes preference. So the first criteria that we utilize to place is your home address within the school feeder zone. And then the second one is sibling and previous school. When I say previous schools, if it's a high school, there are primary schools that act as feeder to that particular high school. We also look at that. The third one is work address within the school feeder zone. The fourth one is home address within 30 kilometers. And then lastly is 30 kilometers beyond, home address 30 kilometers beyond. The first one is home address, as you've seen. So it's important that parents work around the home address in the feeder zone. Please note that because you've applied, you've submitted everything, the documents, does not mean your child is already placed in that part. The placement period will take place. And the placement will be done according to the criteria. But if you have completed the application, your application document, what we can guarantee you is that we will then place your child. You can be assured that once you have completed the application, your child will be placed. It's only those who have not completed the application that they will not be considered for placement in the period after the closing date of the 29th of August, midnight. The happy messages are going to start coming out from the 16th of October until we've placed everyone. So the placement update or feedback will be from the 16th of October until we've done with all the children. So the placement period is continuous. So it will not end. So we're going to just continue to place and place and place until we're done. But from the 16th of October, parents can anticipate rather that they will be getting SMSs of placement offers. So as I conclude, just to remind parents of children who are in grade R in schools, you have to apply. You have to apply. If you don't apply, whether your child is in that school for grade R, they will not be in that school for grade 1. They have to apply. We are still waiting for regulations around the BELA because grade R has been made compulsory. But as soon as we're done, we get those regulations, we'll look at that process in the next placement period, which is next year onward, going forward. But for now, we're still using our provincial regulations, and meaning that if your child is in grade R, you have to apply for grade 1. So there is no automatic placement because your child is in grade R in that particular schools. We do have a large number of learners who are in ECD sites. In fact, the last count, as we're doing count now, we're sitting at around 70,000 learners who are doing grade R in ECD sites. So the process must be fair. For it to be fair, everyone must apply so that everyone has an equal opportunity to access our public schools and preferred public schools. So if your child is in grade R, you have to apply for a child to be in grade 1 in 2026 in our public schools, even if the public school that you want the child is currently doing grade R at. For all other grades, 2 to 7, 9 to 11, you have to go to the schools. You have to go to the school to apply. This process is only for 1 and 8. We will be having the countdown at one of our working centers. We have 81 working centers across the province, which parents can access at any time or during working hours. They can go to any of our 15 district offices. They can go to the head office. They can go to all our public schools. Every single school, public school, they have a right to access them. So you can go, parents can go there to get help in applying on the system. So all our public schools are open. In fact, I saw one article the other day that said only 13% of our schools have access to the internet, to connectivity, and which is not true. All our schools have access to connectivity because we do give transfers and subsidies. Some are using the GBN, some are using private, but all of them have access to connectivity. So Gauteng schools, I want to clarify, have access to connectivity in one form or the other. So parents can go to those schools and apply, use this and access the system and support in those particular schools. So if we will be communicating throughout. We'll be running an aggressive campaign to update parents, remind parents on our social media pages, website, and other media, and using the mainstream media as well, to ensure that we remind parents of this process. There's no payment required. This is free. If anybody says to you, give us money, we'll guarantee your child being placed, let us know and go to the nearest police station and tell us who's that particular official or person. There is no money required. This is free. Your child will be placed for free. It's a free process. So there must never be coerced to believing that they must pay for a space in our schools. No. To get space, it's free, so no payment is required. But overall, as I conclude, remember the 24th, 8 a.m., 24th of July, 8 a.m., the system will go live. It will close on the 29th of August at midnight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
man uqedile. Ah, lo ngutwile wena. So she direct.
This place is called.
Service provider, not zero rating.
Oh yes.
It's for all schools.
Yeah.
Are you going to open this one? Okay.
The honor.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, thank you very much. Now is the opportunity for us to ask for some questions. Those that are online can also send us the questions in the WhatsApp group. We will be able to ask the panel. I have next to me the HOD of the Education Department, Gauteng Education. MC calls him a former, but he's moving to DND. And then on the extreme left, we have the Mayor Matome. She's the guru of the system, and we have the MC. So we got one here, two, three, 4,
Thank you, Secretary from Africa. Thank you for that ANC. Just to see some clarity around, when you say after the deadline in August, your application will be processed. I know typically every year you make competition for late application. Is that beyond that deadline? How will you work with people that are only able to use the application post that deadline? There's such a provision.
Are there any agencies in place to assist that verification process? Will there be any support centers whereby they can help communities with their registration?
Moving the contents of the house,
Okay, thank you. I think these questions are comprehensive. What I miss, I've got the HOD and the Chief Director next to me. What we mean when we say there's no new application, meaning after the 29th of August, once the system closes, parents will not be allowed to register. The provision for late application this year will be very difficult. Most probably we might even open beginning of January, because generally what we do, the late application process will all do it about December. But as you can see, there's a shift and tightness in timelines. So meaning that that process will open much later than what usually do. So it's advisable that parents apply during this window period, because that one only works for schools that are available. The space that is available. So the parents will not have a choice. If you arrive, you stay here in next to JP Girls, this area, I think it's Observatory. Yeah. Is it what?
Kensington.
Kensington, yes. You stay in Kensington and you want to go, you want space for a child, and the space is in quite far, 15. Unfortunately, that's where the space will be available. You know, we will not be able to place your child next to you because you are late. So parents need to apply on time, unfortunately. So they will only be allowed to access schools that they will be seeing on the system. So that's why we insist that parents apply now. This is the most important period. So we do have that. We do have that particular late application process, but it will be very late. In fact, it will be next year at the beginning of the academic year, most probably. Digital to access, no, we do. We have working centers I've spoken about. We've got about 81 working centers. Parents can also go to the school. They can go walk to the school and they will be helped at the school. So it's also part of the infrastructure that we have set up. So they don't, in fact, we urge parents to avoid internet cafes. You know, because internet cafes, you have these syndicates who lie to our parents, take their money and do illegal things. So we urge them to avoid internet cafes, go to the school. The school will help you with the application process. It's part of the infrastructure that they've set us. We've got working centers which will communicate where are they. We've got our districts. They can go to our district offices, all 15. They can go to our head office to get help. So all these spaces are there to make sure that we support parents, especially those who are not quite literate with technology. We do have that set up. At any of our centers, we've got employed volunteers, we've employed young people, youth, volunteers to come and work and support our parents and make sure that they take them through. And if there's a challenge of paperwork, they actually work with them to make sure that they get to a point where they fully comply. So we have set it up, that particular, we have that support in place. The issues, maybe let me start with the movement is not moving the asset. We're just moving the management of the asset to Cornhill. So we're going to use Cornhill to manage the Mandela House. So that's why I said that we're finalizing with the foundation. And we're almost at the tail end of it, where we'll then officially, so that as government we're able to support the site and keep it the heritage site. So this is where we are with regard to the Mandela House. Infrastructure, we're looking to spend around 3.9 billion in total for infrastructure work. So it's almost around 4 billion that we're going to be investing. That includes new schools, that includes replacement schools, that includes asbestos schools. And say this is a new replacement school for mobiles and also old schools, but currently just mobiles. So we're investing greatly there. We're using those implementing agents, DBSA, DID, to assist us to build BFI. So we've got a number of models that we are putting in place to make sure that we deliver. But more of which interest is that we are finalizing the terms of reference, which will inform our PPP, where we'll get private sector to come build and hand over. Build and hand over the school. So we're finalizing that particular terms of reference with Treasury and so forth, so that once we're done, we will then go to the market to find suitable offers and then work from there. So that is part to address the backlog, because the backlog it grows. I mean, our system is research says that it will grow to the size of Free State within 5 years. So, meaning that we'll have the number of children of Free State in Gauteng added in the next 5 years. So it's growing. So it's a moving target. It's a moving target. As we build, we get more. As we build, we get more. So that's what we will be doing with regard to infrastructure. So, but we are building a number of schools. I'm anticipating on average around, once we pick up properly, we'll be sitting around, he's promising 20 a year. Around 20 a year minimum. So we'll then begin to really push back. Yes, overcrowding is a problem. It is a problem, overcrowding. But sometimes overcrowding needs to be understood. I think this assumption that there are schools where you go to every class, there's 80 learners per class. No, it's not true. We do have provision. We do provide mobiles. Generally, what happens in most cases, 80% of the time, overcrowding is per subject. And you will experience it mostly in home languages, where you find there are more Zulu speakers than Pedi speakers in the school. So when it's time period for home language, you go to the Zulu one, there are a lot of them. But if you go next door, in the Pedi classroom, there are less. So you have to look at it in that context. So what generally happens is, I'm not saying that there is no overcrowding. We do have that situation challenge as well. But please understand it that it's largely related to subjects that have been chosen, that have been done. The mathematics classroom will be less than the mathematics literacy classroom, for instance. So the number of learners will be more for one subject over the other. But there is a challenge that our schools are oversubscribed. So in that instance, we are aware that, okay, this school capacity is 1,000. But if you are sitting at 2,000 learners, it means it's oversubscribed already. But in that case, then we provide classrooms, whether through the self-build, whether it's mobiles, etc., so that the classroom space and the educators will keep in line with the ratio. So even if you go to our schools, the ratios, we're always complying with the number of learners per educator in all our schools. So the subject matter is one of the big issues. So the issues that we deal with every year, we know them. I mean, late applications, incomplete applications, parents rocking up on the first day of the academic year, parents not wanting a set of schools that they want, they choose one, or they want this one, they don't get it, they get upset, they go here. So we know those issues. So it's all about communication and engagement and the trust deficit, in between ourselves and parents and the schools and certain schools. So we know that, but we've handled quite well in the previous academic year. I mean, if you trace back to then and now, you could see that 2025 was better than 2024. So we are anticipating 2026 to be slightly better than 2025, up until we get to a point where we are all comfortable. But ultimately, it's space. It's space. I mean, I was watching the news this morning. I'm going to ask the city what they're saying. They want to sell the Max Park to private developers. So you know what that means now? It means they're going to be building houses there. But where is the school? You see, and this is the problem. That's why I always say the problem is municipalities chasing rates and taxes and not considering that as much as you want rates and taxes, you need to provide social infrastructure. You need to provide land for schools. If you want to be doing a development for 5,000 or 10,000 houses, you need four schools to accommodate for that particular development. They don't do that. They don't do that at all. So the problem is our municipalities chasing rates and taxes more than anything, I think, and it's quite insensitive and ill-considerate of them, in that regard. So if we get an opportunity to comment on that Max Park, for example, we're going to reject it. Because already they need to show us, before we even say we will support it, they need to show us where is the school space. If there's no school space, they must not expect education to approve and support. But I saw that it's going to cancel. Tomorrow you need to get me that report and see who said yes from education and what informed if there was a yes. But from my side, where I'm sitting, it's a no. Yeah. I think overcrowded shortages of schools, I've covered within the infrastructure as well. I don't know if there's anything that I'm missing.
The address issue.
Oh, the address. Look, the issue of address is a problem. Parents need to. Our township schools are performing. I mean, it's you put it correctly, quintile 4, quintile, and the quintiles matter. Our schools in the townships are not the same. There's been some great improvement. There are good schools. In fact, the township schools now are carrying GDE much more than the former Model C schools. I don't want to mention those schools by name, but I can tell you now, there are township schools that when you go to the Gauteng one, you find the school, it's in the township, but it's got a swimming pool. It's got the combi court. It's got all these facilities. So there is no reason for a parent to not want their child, when you stay in Gauteng, next to the school and want your child to go to Jamestown High, for instance, when this school is here, with all the facilities that you need, and providing very good quality education and experience for your child, because it's got everything. So we are changing the face of township school, and we are continuing, and the investment is bearing fruit. That is why the Western Cape, I'm going to this place, the Western Cape, in terms of the outcomes in matric result, they will never bypass Gauteng, because they stopped investing in townships. They're investing in former Model C alone, and they've left. We invested in the township, so that's why the township and former Model C, the difference is about 7%. So the gap is narrowing up to a point where it will even not even exist at some point, because of the investment into the township, investment in terms of capacity of learners, investment in infrastructure. But not to say some of our schools don't have a problem, they do, but we're also intervening as and when. So parents would prefer those schools. But also, another thing that parents do, they address, which is something that I want to add, you are speaking about the expense of the school. They would pay 1,500 transport money, but they will not want to pay 950 school fees. I'm speaking about practical experience. And then what happens if they don't pay the fees? The school begins to collapse. Because this school, we don't subsidize. What we give to quintile 1 to 3, it's not the same that we give to quintile 4 and 5. You see, because these are no fee. Because there are no fee, we give them more. I think we give them about 1,600 or 1,700 per learner. That's what we give those no fee paying school, to make sure that it covers the LTSM and all the other aspects and support for the child. But we don't do the same for 4 and 5. So 4 and 5 needs to raise fees, so that with the fees, then they are able to pay for other additional aspects, which means the maintenance of the school, the rates and taxes, the electricity of the school, and other aspects. So parents don't pay that. So they take the address, they go to the school that needs fees to be paid, they don't pay, the school collapses. Then they're going to come back that this school is not the same anymore. But you've not been paying fees. So the school can't sustain. And we don't have, it's not within our policy. We can't give them the money that we're giving it to 1 to 3 because of the quintile system. So they will always get their allocation of what? It's half. We give them 800 per learner to sustain. So they need to raise another 800 so that they can sustain the school. So I always urge parents that if you go to a school that needs fees, pay it. If you can pay the transport, I can tell you now, they don't miss transport money, they'll pay it. That one is part of their budget. Budget transport, budget school fees. Because you said the child must go to a school that pays. So please, if they pay, then it makes it, in fact, if they pay, they make it life easier for us. Because what that means, we don't have to go and fix the former model school. We'll invest more in the township. Now we have to invest here and go back and fix there, because they've not been paying this, the infrastructure is collapsing. So they're creating this huge change. So I urge parents to really understand that aspect, that if you go to a fee-paying school, pay the fees. If you can't pay, there's a process of exemption that you need to go through. But those that don't succeed, we know they can pay. That's all we are appealing, so that we improve and keep the standards of our schools. Felix. Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah, right.
Just to clarify, ABC earlier mentioned the fact that 2 parents can apply for the same child. What we brought in as an improvement within the system is that 2 parents can apply for the same child, but it's limited to the same 5 applications that MEC spoke about earlier. So you can't cheat the system and apply 5 as a mother and another 5 as a parent. It will kick you out. So it's 5 per child, but they can decide. The other one can apply for 2 schools, the other one for 3 schools. It still remains the same. We just had to deal with issues where parents are not in the same house, so that they can at least apply for their children. The issue of the cell phone also, MEC, we've updated the system to allow parents to update the cell phone number in the parent portal only. So as a parent, if you register, you can go to your profile and update the cell phone number if you happen to lose your cell phone, because it's really critical that we continue to communicate through that cell phone number. And I think MEC stressed that quite a lot. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I think we covered. Ladies and gentlemen, those that are using platforms, thank you very much for the introduction. That's what we see. On Thursday, 8 o'clock, you can watch the system will be
Thanks, MC.
Thank you so much.
MC, re kgathetse nna ke a tshaba yona.
Let's continue. If they arrange that, let's continue.
Because it's supposed to be tomorrow. Yes. So the day after the other, going back tomorrow. Because we have
for the ABC.